Hey guys, this is Sam and Aaron from TouchMi. A while back we made a video just showing the immersive display software, and since then they've come out with a couple new products. This video we want to gear a little bit more towards actually using the software down into the detail and how to create multi-projector builds and how to use the software to get the blend and how to get them to go together. So first we just wanted to introduce the product itself. This is called Immersive Desktop, and what this does is it blends your entire desktop if you're running on Windows 7. It's actually really good for us. We really like it, but the fundamentals that you'll learn from this video will easily translate into any of their other products because they all use the same warp setup software to create the actual blends and stuff. So to start off, as you can see, we have two different projectors here. They're projecting two totally different, weird, obscure sizes and angles. We did that on purpose because we wanted to just show you how you get these things to work together. So to start off, the very first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that your graphics card is set. And for ATI, what we did was we took both the displays, and in the ATI drivers, you basically just create a group. We don't really need to get down into that as long as you can understand that both projectors need to be seen as a single display. Alright, so we've already preset that for the sake of saving time on the video. And we're going to go ahead and, now we will tell you that we're just projecting onto a wall, we're not projecting it on any special surface. So it's kind of got a weird texture on the wall, so it's not going to be all the words and everything are going to be easily seen, but following the video and following what we do here, you'll be able to see it just fine. So we're going to get right down into it. We're going to dig down, and the meat and potatoes of the software is called warp setup. So we're going to open that up, and as you can see, we've got the cross blend here in the middle. It's kind of messed up, so we'll just grab that and move it over so you can see a little bit better. Okay. And the very first thing that you want to do is, if you're running a two projector build like we are here, you can do more. But like we're doing here, we're just going to double click here, and this is how we determine how many projectors we have. 1 by 1 means there's only one projector. So we're spanning a 2 by 1 screen. So we wanted to select 2 by 1, hit OK, and that gets us going, and that tells Warp Setup how many projectors you're currently using and in what format you're using it in. The very first top button here is called Warp and Blend, and this is what this is where we actually start creating our warp and our blend. This is a blend that we had already done before. Let me go ahead and I'm going to reset that so that we can open it up. And this is what you guys are going to have. You guys, of course, naturally, the two different projectors, completely unwarped or anything. And let's get down into the interface a little bit. This is the main warp and blend interface. Here we have you have your little control points here in the corners and stuff. This is how you'll move the blend around. We like to start with 2 by 2 because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing our really our big moves and stuff first, and then we'll get down into the more the smaller, more detailed moves. But just to let you know, you've got your moving corners here, and you can set how many you want, how many points that you want. So right now we've got it set to 3 and 4, and it gives you a little bit more control over the blend. But like I said, for really just getting down into it, we only want 2 by 2 for right now. If you're on a curved screen, you can select curved, and that gives you a little bit more options with the curved screen. But we're working with a linear build right now. Right now we have it set to where we only want to move one single point at a time. But if you set it to horizontal, it'll move everything horizontally and everything vertically. But for right now, we're going to do singles. Here is where you get to select which projector is, what points you're actually going to be moving at and what projector. So we'll start with projector 1. We like using the overlap mode. We like using the stretch mode. So we're going to go ahead and set that now. In here, you can actually test, check the different test patterns and stuff. So for right now, we're going to just use the text, and we're going to get right down into it. Now, there's a couple shortcut keys. If you go down into their manual, you'll see what all the shortcut keys are. But if you click outside of the warp setup menu so that it's not highlighted, you'll see up in the top left corner there that control point is highlighted. If I push on the down arrow on the keyboard, the next control point will be down highlighted. So we can select, without actually having to mouse over these control points, we can select it using the up, down, left, and right keys. Now, once you have the up, down, left, and right key, and you've selected the correct control point that you want to control, you can hit the control button, CTRL, on your keyboard, hold it down, and push up and down, and you can see the control point moving up and down. Now, if you hit Control-Shift up and down, that'll do big, fast, dramatic changes. So, the very first thing that we want to know is, projector number 1 is projecting a much, much larger image. Projector number 2, you can see it's projecting a smaller image, so we're going to want to go within the limitations of what projector 2 is doing. So let's go here and select projector 2, and click outside of the warp setup menu so that we can use the keyboard to control the control points. And then I'm going to just start moving the control points around so that you can see. We're just going to be doing a rough move. Okay. All right. Now, let's go back to projector 1. And let's move projector 1 within the limits of where projector 2 is projecting. So I'm going to click outside of the warp setup again and move over to projector 1. And now I'm going to start moving projector 1 to match the limits of projector 2. As you can see, this is kind of moving around now. And like I said, we're just doing really big moves right now. Okay? Don't worry so much about getting the words and everything perfectly lined up. All right, you can see projector 2 is now overlapping a little bit of 1. So we can simply move over back to projector 2, select that, and move it back down so that they're a little bit more even with each other. All right, go back to projector 1, select the top corner, and you're just going to keep moving around like this until things are pretty well lined up. Alright, everything's kind of skewed because we got the projector skewed, and we're doing this for the sake of time. So now we have our words and stuff kind of, we have our edges lined up the way that we want them. So now it's time to start kind of trying to at least get the words to be on the same line as each other. So this is where we're going to start. I'm going to first start with projector 1, and now we're going to add additional control points to our vertical. So let's add 2. So now we're going to have 4 control points vertically for both projectors. And I'm just going to start moving these around a little bit so that our words, forgot, you gotta always click outside of the warp setup menu, otherwise it'll start giving you problems. So just trying to get the words lined up a little bit with each other. Okay. Don't forget to switch back to projector 2 as well, and deal with those points as well. So click outside the warp setup menu. As you can see, our overlapping words are kind of lined up with each other on the vertical. So now it's time to get into a little bit of the overlap and the blending. This can be a little confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it actually starts to become really easy. So for projector 1, naturally we're going to want to blend the right side. And for projector 2, we're going to want to project the left side of the projection. So I want to keep that in mind while we're selecting how we're going to be projecting, blending. So now we're going to select projector 1. And then here is where we select which side of that projector that we want to blend. So we want to do the right side. So we start with the right side, and this is where we get our blend setup. Okay. First thing we want to do is set our overlap. Now you can kind of see here we have a pretty big overlap. We're overlapping the two projected images about by this far. So, rule of thumb, we're going to want to set our overlap about 50% for projector 1 and then 50% for projector 2. And you'll start seeing the words start to line up with each other. So let's go ahead. The actual overlap, the percentage is not reflected here when I say 50%. You'll see it visually. Okay, so you can start seeing the green line move over. And this is why we like using stretch. So you can see the green line has come over about 50% into that overlap. All right? So that's projector 1. Now let's select projector 2, and don't forget, you have to click the left side because that's the side that we want for the projector 2. So the blend setup page is now, it says blend projector 2, left side. So let's go ahead and move those over. And you can start seeing now the words are starting to line up with each other. Okay? Sorta. Now, this is where, now we've just did a really rough stretch. Okay? So what we're going to have to do now at this point, we're going to go ahead and close the blend setup, and we're going to go back, and now we're going to make fine changes. So now we're on projector 1. We're going to start making small adjustments to the points. Okay? So you can start seeing, I'm going to start pulling these words together. This is where the lining up starts. So I'm just making really small little changes. And you can start seeing the words start to become more clear. Okay, I'm just doing projector 1 right now. Okay, and this is why we wanted to put in those, the 4 points. You start seeing them all starting to come together now. Okay, still some of the words in the top a little bit blurry, so we just go to projector 2. Okay, click outside of the work setup menu, and then just start moving your points around a bit. Bring that back up a bit. And just start going through your points, moving them around until your elements start fitting in. Keep in mind, this is just really rough. We're not going to be doing this perfectly for you guys. We want to keep it within a time limit. It can be kind of tedious, but once you get it set up, it's good. back to the other projector, and you'll just systematically start, you know, swapping back and forth between your projectors. I'm going to go ahead and throw in another vertical point on these so that we can get a little bit more fine tuning in here. That's what's great about this, is that you can just keep putting in more points and get more and more detailed. Swap over to projector 1. All right, it's not quite perfect. But for the sake of the video, that's pretty close. I'm going to just do one last little adjustment here with our projector 1 to get these a little bit more clear. All right, and as you can see, we now have our letters pretty much clear. You guys go ahead and, you know what to do now as far as doing that. Like I said, it can be tedious and it can be a little time consuming, but for the sake of the video, that's good enough. So as you can see, we now have two dark sides, and now we have this bright overlap in the middle. And now we can start doing the actual soft edge blend. So now that they've been warped together, the blend is, I'd have to say, equally as tedious, but once you get the hang of it, it'll start working a little better for you. So now I've got projector 1 selected again. And again, we're going to want to look at the right side. All right. And now we have the fade percentage. So this will say, this basically creates a gradient fade between the two projectors. So it's better to just, as you can see, as I start turning this fade up, you can start seeing the right side of the projection. It's easier to show you. I'm going to disable the output of projector 2 so that I can show you what the fade actually is. So I'm going to select projector 1, I'm going to show the right side fade, and you'll see what's actually happening here. I'm going to turn the fade all the way down, so that's what it looks like without the fade, at all. So as you start turning the fade up, you can start seeing how there's like a gradient filter applied to that, and it starts fading out. So if we do an equal amount of fade on projector 2, they should then combine together and give you a nice clean image all the way across without any dark or bright. Again, it's a tedious process to get it just right. There's color adjustment involved. So we're not going to get it exactly perfect in this tutorial. We basically just wanted to show you the bits and bobs of each piece. Also, you can see how there's this that extra little piece that just popped out when I turned that projector off. This piece right here. We haven't quite figured out what that is, but it doesn't bother the actual end result. Sometimes if we just shut the software off and turn it back on, that it doesn't exist. So let's get right back into it. Again, we're going to just fly through this really quick so that you guys understand the process. It's not going to be perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and start running through this real quick. So I'm going to just do a really rough until that white edge goes up to the line there. And then I'm going to select projector 2, the left side of projector 2, and I'm going to push the fade up on that as well. And you can start seeing that the lines will start fading together. So even just doing that, you can see that now you don't any longer have that big white spot in the middle. We can see that even further by changing some of these test patterns. Right here in the middle, you can see it's a little bit off. You can start seeing the dark edge moving around there, and it'll be whiter there. So you just keep switching between projector 1 and projector 2, making sure that you're selecting the right and left side of each projector to correct. And so I'm going to just pull that back a little bit. And it's not perfect. So now I'm just going to close this up. I'm going to also close up the warp setup, and that should automatically save our settings, bring us back to this. And by clicking save here, that now saves our configuration. So now, because we're using the Immersive desktop, the Fly Elise Immersive desktop, you get this little bar down here. And when I click install, it's going to take the configuration changes that I just made, and it's now going to warp the entire desktop. So it makes the change, and bam, there's our entire desktop. So now our entire desktop is one solid piece. As you can see here though, our blend wasn't perfect. You still got a little bit of a dark line here. Okay, so we're just gonna, I'll click uninstall. Brings us back. I go right back into warp and blend. Brings us back to our original blend. You can see it here just a little bit. I don't know if you can see it on the camera so much. So then we just, again, start fine adjusting and fine tuning projector 1 and projector 2. Now, one thing to know, this line here represents how hard the gradient actually during the blend is. I'm going to go ahead and shut off projector 2 so you can see what changing these settings here actually does. So I've checked the box that selects all red, green, and blue colors. Although if you really want to fine-tune things, you can actually start changing the gradient and how hard the gradient actually is applied to each individual color. But for really quick changes, I select all, start bumping it up and down, and you can maybe in the picture start seeing the difference that this makes. Can't quite see it so much on the camera, but it's there. You're just going to have to play around with it a bit. Actually, I made a mistake. I am now on projector 2. So I'm going to put it back on projector 1. All right, here we go. And I need to make sure it's projector 2 right. There we go. You can see the blend on either the blend on the right side there starts to become very hard. I turn all of the settings off, and now you just have a hard line. So by turning it up, you're actually creating a much softer gradient between projector 1 and, if I select projector 2, left, I can create, again, a softer gradient there and enable the output on that, and you can start seeing the difference between the two projectors. So let me fade this one out a little bit, go to projector 1. Again, it's a trial and error. You just have to keep messing with it until you get a good equilibrium between the two projectors. One more thing is that in the actual documentation for warp setup, you'll see that for your test pictures, you can actually put your own pictures in there in a specific folder. We just haven't done that. We're just using these right now. This picture kind of shows how we've kind of got a little bit of a hard blend here between the two. You can start seeing it. So again, you're just going to want to keep going back and forth until you get the fade just right. Back to projector one. Next side. We'll try that. I'm going to click Save, back to Install. And that's a little bit better. Not perfect, guys, but as you know, we're just trying to show you. We have done a warp and blend setup on many different installs, and once you get used to it and start doing it, you'll actually get it to the point where it's perfectly blended, it's perfectly warped, you won't see anything in the middle, and now you have a single warped desktop. You are able, in a lot of situations, to run full screen DirectX games and whatnot. It's kind of trial and error for different games and whatnot. But like I said, we just wanted to show you a really quick tutorial on how to do this. I know we weren't, we basically just showed you what the product was capable of in our last video. We wanted to actually show you how to do it. So I hope you enjoy it. I will say that I just want to reiterate, you can absolutely and positively get a perfect blend with no bright or dark spots in the overlap in the middle. But just for the sake of the video, we just wanted to fly through it really quick and show you how to do it. So, Sam and Aaron from TouchMi, we're signing off, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.